Hey guys, today I'm going to be going over a few things that I think Way of the Hunter needs to change or update or implement to be successful in 2024. And this sort of list is going to be different than what you might think would be in a list like this. Like, it's not going to be about more maps, more animals, things like that. No large, big features. My list is way more about like the fundamentals of the game. I think everything on my list that I want them to improve or change has been issues that have existed since the game came out. And fun fact, I've actually tried to do this video twice now, and my video turns into a rant. And I don't actually want it to be a rant, because it kind of makes me chuckle that I get kind of worked up about it. But I do kind of ramble on, and I get sort of into it. So I'm going to try to hunt some mule deer, just on hiker difficulty, while I go through a few things. Now, first disclaimer though is, I'm just some old guy making YouTube videos. I don't really know anything special, so it's not like I'm some seasoned game developer that knows all sorts of things. I also like the game. Way of the Hunter has come a long way from its original release, and they have done a lot of improvements. The game is far better than it was when it first released. That being said, there are some core things here that I do want to go over here as I take a look at some of these mule deer. What do we have here? This mule deer herd is one of my main herd management test groups. Okay, so they're all 1-star adult. I don't actually know if I brought calls to sort them out or not. Did I? Oh, I did too. So we'll see if anybody comes into this. So while we're waiting for any of these deer to come in here, I'm going to bring up my first point, and it's kind of a bigger point. Sort of when I get it sort of all explained here, because it kind of shows a bit of a root problem with maybe the design philosophy of the game here. I know it might be a little confusing here, but I'll try to get to it. It'll sort of make sense. The first thing that I want to bring up is this here. We take out our rifle, we look down our scope, we put our hunter sense dot on. I'm using the 30-06, so I can get the largest hunter sense dot possible, because I want to demonstrate so people can see the hitboxes on the tree. It's one of the first things I want to bring up here. That the game has very wonky hitboxes around these trees where the branches, the basic little twigs and branches, stop your shot. And this has been in the game since the start. And the explanation that I understand from the developer is why it hasn't been fixed, or maybe it's not even going to get fixed, I don't actually know, is that it's a technical limitation. And I don't like that answer. And I don't like that answer because there are a lot of first-person games out there. Tons and tons of first-person games. First-person shooter ones, right? Now this is a first-person hunting game, but it's still a first-person game where you're shooting. So it can still sort of fall in line with, a first-person shooter, where most of them are military, right? But there's lots of first-person hunting games, and I can't think of any that have tree hitboxes like this, that are this ridiculous. See, if there was a deer walking across here, I'd be okay, and if as soon as he goes behind here, look, there's 58 meters, and all of a sudden 45. Like, these little branches, if that deer steps behind these little sticks, it'll completely block the shot. It's basically a wall. And it goes beyond the branches. I just gotta shoot this guy. It goes beyond the branches into areas of the tree that you can see through. So you would, it works right there, but it depends on the tree. But it's very hit or miss. This tree looks like it's modeled okay. Well, excluding my main point about the shot should go through here. But sometimes you'll try and shoot. Yeah, look at it bounce there. Like, it's getting stuck on this little one. Like, right, I can't make that shot. It won't go through there. And it wants to, and then it doesn't. See how you you think you should be able to make this shot. There, that would work there, but I mean, these little tiny branches are completely stopping the shot. And you may be asking, Bumble, why are you going on and on about this? We already kind of know this sort of thing. Well, this is, is kind of a root problem why this is even in the game in the first place. And I bring this one up specifically because I can think of an example where the fact that these trees have these wonky hitboxes, that it can actually prevent some of the future development of the game. And the example I have for that is the tree stand. So now I don't have any insider information or anything like that. This is just kind of logic putting this together. So tree stands aren't on the roadmap, or tripods are, and that was going to be my guess, because a tripod, you don't have to worry about trying to figure out how to change your engine or anything to mount something onto a tree, right? You can just kind of place them everywhere. But here's the thing. So here's how this problem that came into the game right from the start, and should never been into the game. They should never implemented trees this way. When there's first-person shooters and hunting games, almost all of them, no doubt, can be shooting through these branches. I played tons of them. Some of them will even put a nice fancy effect as like the leaves get blown off from the branches or stuff as it goes through. So, anyways, I don't think that ever should have made it into the game. These trees and hitboxes should never been that way, because here's the repercussions of this, right? If the developers are testing out tree stands, and they probably have, and the reason why they're probably not on the roadmap and not in the game is probably because they're coming to the same conclusion I'm kind of thinking about here. Say if you take any of these trees and you're putting your tree stand up there, so a developer would say, okay, let's implement a basic little system. We'll put a little tree stand up here, and we'll, I don't know, maybe if they don't have the tree stand ready or something like that, they'll teleport the hunter up here. You'll be sitting in the tree stand, and you'll have all these invisible solid walls that you can't shoot through. Well, some not invisible, some not. But you'll have, it'll be a really bad experience for the player the way it stands right now. They'll be up in the tree, and you'll just have very limited areas you can shoot. Like if there's a tree beside you, like you're gonna have to shoot through all those bulletproof twigs, and then fight with the ones that are in front of you. And then if you're parked in the branch or something like that, then it would cut off. Oh, anyways, I think you know where I'm getting or coming from. Is that base problem that came out with the game is no doubt the problem holding up a tree stand being entered into the game. So that's my conclusion there. And I don't like it's a technical problem that they can't fix this. It's only a technical issue because they implemented it this way. I mean, you can't fix it now because probably it's a big thing now because all the trees have to be fixed now in the game. This is one of the things that point to kind of like the root concern I have with them is how did they not have the foresight of seeing this like happen, like coming into the game, right? And this sort of thing is present all throughout the game, as in other examples. There's going to be a theme to my list here, and it's all about game design. That was poor game design. This should have been seen long before release. The tree should never been implemented like that. Here, let's pick this guy up. You can kind of see where my rant starts when I start talking about this stuff. Look at that, a heart shot, and I wasn't even trying. There we go. Good old 30-06. What was he? 17. This herd was my herd management test. Oh man, this herd is just roasted. The other ones were 18% and 22%. This is the next generation. It's going down. It's not getting any better. Oh no, don't worry. Herd management's on the list too. All right, I'm gonna leave that as number one because I'm already 10 minutes into the video, almost 10 minutes into the video. But this was an important one, just because it's a decision that someone made in the developer hierarchy who said, okay, go with this. There's no way that snuck into the game. They knew it was in there. They gave it the okay. And that was a bad decision. That's a bad game design decision, in my opinion. Here's another one. Because our friendly solo elk here. See these nice little audio bubbles? If I was walking this way and something calls, like if I don't have my headphones on, and you know it's a very quiet call, I'll never know it's there. And here's the thing. Games have figured this out. This has never been in the game either, but Call of the Wild does it. Cabela's Big Game Hunter Pro Hunts, the other one I'm playing there, 10 years old, does it. Many games will do this. If there's a sound off screen, to right or left, up or down, you'll get an indicator on the side of the screen, indicating which direction the sound's coming from if it's off screen. So there's a call now. If I look this way, the bubble should still be over on the right, or some kind of indicator showing me that the sound is this way. And I can't figure that one out. That's such a basic thing. Anyways, this is where all my kind of rants go. That's bad game design too. So tree hitboxes need to be improved so they can get these tree stands going and all the other problems that come along with it. They need to add little things like direction of the audio here, like a UI indicator. A third thing on the list is from the start of the game is this one's got a little bit of a little asterisk beside it because they've sort of fixed it, is the janky first-person camera. You know, when they used to be like this, and you'd be crawling and it'd be like up and down like this. Now I'm doing that because it is fixed for the most part. Some people still report it, but this was also right out of the gate, which never should have happened either. Because, I mean, I'm going to sound like a broken record. Bad game design to implement a first-person kind of game without a first-person camera that's smooth. So you're going to see a little bit of a pattern here. That what I'm kind of aiming at the point of the video is someone at NRG in the developer line is signing off on this stuff because this is not sneaking through. There's no way they're not seeing some of these things. So there's some philosophy or something over there. I know it happens in lots of games because they're rushing or whatever and they got to meet deadlines and everything like that. But there's an awful lot of it here, and someone's signing off on this sort of thing. Oh, and he's just kind of grown up. We're going to let him grow up there. Oh, goodness. What else do I have on my list? So keep working on the first-person camera thing. I think it's pretty much sorted. Oh, here, we got to go back to the ranch for this one. We're going to go into the storage here. This one right here. 3 equipment slots. Now, right now, I'm rubbing my forehead. Because it's been a year and a half. And we have, out of all like equipment for hunters, I know the lures are over here and the collars. That's okay. We ignore them. We have 3 equipment slots for 2 binoculars. And they're not even that different. So it's pretty much 3 equipment slots for just binos. Like, what is going on here? The game released with 3 slots. It's a year and a half later. Why release 3 slots? You're just showing your hand that the game's not done. Like, you obviously had plans for it. Bad game design again here. You can't give the player inventory spots. Just have binoculars and 3 collar things. This just kind of reveals something here, and this has always bothered me too. I don't know. They should have been removed. If you're not gonna add anything in a year and a half to take up these slots, like scent remover or something, like other lure scent sprays, I'm sure lots of players can think of all sorts of equipment. The spotting scope was a big one, right? Yeah, that one, I don't know what to make of that. Long story short, get some equipment for the slots or remove them or something. It's just, I don't know. That's a little sloppy in my opinion. Now I have to head back in the field here. Now I don't actually know how the video's coming across so far, because typically I'm not very negative with the game. I usually play, I play and analyze and do the hunting, and people that are, been a long time with the channel, you would know I do get irritated and frustrated with a few things, but I'm not. I'm pretty balanced with the positive and the negative stuff. So this might definitely be a little negative on the side of things. But it's something for the the end of the year and the start of the new year. I kind of want to get off my chest, and I know the developers listen, not specifically to me or anything. I know they listen to the community. I know they do check out the videos. But I still like Wave of the Hunter and all that sort of things. I still support the developers. But this video's I've been wanting to make. I've already tried to make it 2 times, and I get a bit too negative on the rant kind of things. So I gotta make sure to rein it in here. I know there's some. I've already talked to a couple people and they want me to do a full rant, but I gotta restrict myself here a bit. Because, of course, there's other things on the list. I'm going to, a big one's still coming, and that's the one that usually sets me off, so I'm pushing it back a little ways here. So let's just dabble at multiplayer for a second, just quick. That multiplayer definitely needs some help. I'm not going to go too much into multiplayer, but oh my goodness. Wow. Did you guys ever reveal that you're just trying to check off a checkbox to say multiplayer's in the game when the game came out? That was not finished. That was partly functional. No. And now it's like a bare minimum thing. I'm going to start simple here with multiplayer. I'm not going to go too much into it. Just add communication. Have players be able to communicate. Right now we have to like teabag the ground to talk to each other and jump and use sign language or something to communicate with each other. Use third-party things. I know a lot of people use third-party stuff, but in a PC game, you gotta have the text chat in there. At least get the text chat in there. Even console players can use the text chat for basic stuff. If you don't want to put like the voice stuff in there, I gotta bring that up. Get the text chat in the multiplayer. Okay, what am I at? 17 minutes. I'm dreading going into my big one here. Is there anything else I want to bring up before I jump into that? Okay, I'll start into the larger sort of topic. So far everything, I'm hoping they improve in 2024, and same with sort of the next selection here. Now remember, I do support the game. I do like the game. I just want it to succeed here. But the next part sort of all kind of bundled together, and what we're going to need to do is open up the map. So, very nice map they have going on here. We can put basic little waypoints. We've got some basic functionality with a filter. But yeah, we need some work here. Trying to think of how to word all this. So map's okay. We got our icons, everything like that. We can open up the thing. And the map's a little buggy. Little things like that. We'll start with the basics. Okay, we have herd management, we have hunting pressure, we have scent. Okay, we have scent on here. The game is sorely missing feedback to the player, information to the player with what's going on. Okay, I can think of many examples where this needs to be improved. And this is sort of coming back to the core of the video, but the game design and some kind of philosophy. I don't know if it's a philosophy as a whole of NRG, or if it's someone near the top, like the super lead designer person who's stubborn or something like that, or has got some kind of thing. There is a lot of feedback to the player, UI-wise or environmental or interaction-wise, missing in the game. So I'm going to go through some of that now. So here's an example. Now, this has been from the start of the game. We have no idea telling how loud the player is being right now. I have no idea how loud I'm being. There's a bit of noise. But the actual audio you hear in the game doesn't really give us any good feedback to like how loud our sound is traveling to the animals. Okay, so how loud am I being now compared to it? So the audio went down, but you can hear the stops this time. So you get a little bit of feedback there, but there's no UI for it, or any kind of assistance. If we get like, if I sprint, it's not really louder. If I enter this bush, like, there's no noise. Like, to this day, I don't think there's noise. I think that's just the normal walking. Anyways, it should be clear feedback. Am I making more noise when I go through here or not? To this day, I don't know. So that's a problem. Like what? Do these bushes do anything? We know they do a little bit, mainly from testing, right? So if we take a bow shot from when we're in some bushes, the alertness is diminished. Like the alert penalty to the animals is diminished. But we have no feedback on sound like this. So take example pro hunts. We'll hit this bush and it'll go shh, right? And then we'll know we just made noise. And then like the deer or whatever will look up. But it also goes the other way. Like if a deer walks through this bush, the bush will make noise. It'll rattle. And then the hunter can be like, oh wait. Or like if I heard like bushes rattling over here, I would know there's an animal traveling through here. But that's not in the game. There's lots of environmental stuff like this and feedback lacking to the player. Like, what is this doing? There's got to be, you got to have some info for the player. Like, does this decrease visibility? Is there any point in me being in here? You think it would, but there's just no way to tell unless you really play the game for hundreds of hours, and we have, and we still can't really tell. So there needs to be basic feedback for the player. So, and you can't use just your ears how loud you're being because it doesn't work that way. Here's an example. If I'm driving the Jeep's really loud, but my sprinting is louder than the Jeep. Or the Jeep is clearly, and my ears are telling me that Jeep is louder, but my sprinting's going to spook the animals farther than the Jeep. So you can't rely on what you're actually hearing in the game. Now, so that's all on the topic of information feedback to the player. Games can do this really well. And that's where it comes down to like a game design or some kind of philosophy. I don't know why. I know not all games make noise when you go through the bush or something like that, but there'll be like an indicator or something on the screen, something that's helping the player. But anyways, so the whole topic of this is player feedback sort of thing. And that's why I opened up the map in the first place, because this map is a great way to provide feedback to the player. So we've had herd management in here forever. Herd management is a huge selling point of the game. Do you think there's anywhere in this game that helps us monitor herd management? No, there isn't. And this is from day one. Something that's, promoted. People bought the game to do the herd management stuff. You'd think that like with a key feature in the game, even though it's sort of a secondary feature in the game, I think it definitely becoming more of a primary one as time goes on. You would think stuff like that would be into the game. Some kind of feedback. Now, the word is, this is coming. My point is, it should have been a lot sooner. That's just one thing. It's about feedback to the player, right? Information to the player. Can we get a percentage? Like what the average fitness is for the zone, what it is for the specific herd. I don't know how it's going to be, but that's just one example of the herd management. The next one is, we've got this nice little map, but have you tried Nikibu's Way of the Hunter toolbox? Everything in that toolbox. Now I know this is in-game, and I know that's a web-based browsery kind of thing, but everything on that toolbox should be implemented into the game. And it should have happened by now. I look at that, and I'm sure the program would be challenging, but you've got developers. Nikibu's one guy who did it in his spare time made this fantastic app that let us, make notes and alter the icons, change color on these things. I mean, at least let us change color of these things. Make basic notes. I mean, even console players could select this and make a basic notes with the controller, right? The little keyboard will pop up and they can at least mark a couple things down. This is one of the things where, I don't know, maybe I'm out of touch with stuff. I think this sort of thing would sell a game. If you go right into the herd management, have this, map with management stuff on it. No other hunting game has that. You can make an update where, oh, look at this, herd management part of the game, and you could have like a game trailer where a guy takes down a low-fit mule deer, kind of what I did. Then he opens the map, and then he'll make a note or see some kind of fitness change off into the corner. Have the game feedback something positive to the player, or negative if he's doing something dumb. You know, something like that. You could do this as a trailer of the guy being successful and then coming into the map and then seeing his little fitness or his management change, and then he could put a note there, and then all of a sudden have a restaurant order pop up from the side. I'm not going to get too much into that, but the restaurant orders and the meat selling and all that, that's a big thing that should have been focused on as well. You know, anything that the game does really well and unique, different from all the other hunting games, should really be focused on and really hit home, because I think that is a selling point of the game. So that's why I don't get it. I'm just like, man, if you really go after that herd management stuff, the business side of managing the reserve, do whatever you can to make this reserve and single player personal to the player, that they're improving it, that they're working on it, that they're running a business. That was such a great idea, the Bear Den Ranch here, the business. You know, anything that gets the player attached into the reserve with constant feedback on their actions, on, you know, on what they're doing well and what they're not doing well. Which brings me to the last point, which I've been saving to the end because this is where the rant kind of takes off, because there's other things you can put on this map, like, you know, nice little scent thing that we have on here, but also with the herd management. However, here's the big one. They just did this big overhaul on the hunting pressure. All right, so the hunting pressure thing, I don't think it ever worked right. I'm not really sure. It was kind of random. No one could explain it. No one could figure it out. And it had a bit of overhaul, so now it's working correctly. But this is where I have a bit of trouble with sort of the development of the game. So in other hunting games, staying on the theme of game design and feedback to the player, other hunting games like Call of the Wild, if you put hunting pressure on a spot, you'll get this little purple block on the map. If you keep applying hunting pressure, you'll get more, and then the zone disappears. So they're giving player feedback that they're applying hunting pressure, and then they're being penalized in some way for doing something incorrect in the game. Or they could choose to utilize hunting pressure, right? The pro hunts that I'm also playing, if I open up a map and I've done some kind of hunting pressure, guess what? These little icons, if I put hunting pressure on this mule deer in that game, this little icon will be glowing red or yellow, depending on how severe hunting pressure I did, and a little number will float up, a nice little animation saying minus 20 points or minus 50 points hunting pressure. And I get a nice little guy reminding me that I, you know, put too much pressure on the zone. But see what I mean? The hunting pressure, just for an example, a nice clear example of how, like, other games are giving the player feedback. Now this game just did an overhaul of the hunting pressure on the need zones, and it sort of shows some of my issues with, like, the overall kind of like this little philosophy thing that I have an issue with the development of the game. And that is, just to bring it all home, I don't know if it's a individual with the developer or like the team as a whole, I have no idea, but someone or some group or something is okay. They changed the hunting pressure, like they added it and made it work. They put it in the game, and then they actively decided not to give the player any feedback on it at all. Okay, so I get a deer. Okay, so there's a deer over there. I shoot the deer. I don't know, did I apply hunting pressure or not? Well, logically, I should have. But the game didn't tell me I did. I went to the map. There's no hunting pressure on the map. There's no hunting pressure on the icon. The only thing the game has is the zone flips over. However, if you just shoot one deer on it, the zone won't flip, for the most part. So you walk up and check the zone, it didn't change. Then you're like, well, is the hunting pressure broken? So this is kind of where I'm getting at. That was a intentional design decision to have no feedback given to the player. This is where my biggest gripe is. All these things that I've brought up are not unintentional. Like, there's reasons for them, of course, and I know it's complicated. But everything I got here, and this one just kind of smacks me in the face. They just did this, hunting pressure on it, and actively decided no feedback to the player. None at all. You're going to apply hunting pressure and have no idea how much you applied, and, don't even know if it's working or not. Until some members of the community run out, and they run out to the zone, and they shoot in the air, and shoot around the deer, and count how many shots it takes, and do all that sort of thing. Bad game design, right? I go right back to that. A bad game design. Give the feedback to the player. Give them information, what they're doing. This is the core thing that I've had trouble with the development of the game since the beginning. There's some philosophy, or some kind of thing with NRG, I don't know if it was one individual or not, who thinks it's a good idea to not give players feedback on their actions in the game. And for the life of me, that's not benefiting the game. I'm no expert. It's not helping you sell the game. It is not generating revenue. Because players come in here, if they can't explain what's happening, and it doesn't make sense to them, they assume it's a bug. They don't assume it's working in the background. They assume it's a bug. So it's not doing you any favors. You don't need to explain exactly all the mechanics of the game and how it's working, right down to the details. You don't need to do that, but you do need to indicate something is happening in the game. The hunting pressure is just the easiest one for me to focus on at the moment. Herd management is secondary, because we know something like that's coming. That's going to help. But this stuff should have been in there. And I mean, when you do add it, and I don't know, when you get that hunting or the herd management kind of added, make it good. Make it a selling feature of the game. Make it that good that it sells copies of the game. And I don't get money for it, but it'll be healthy for the game to do something like that and make it really good. Now somehow I did that for 30 minutes or so, and I never went into a huge rant. That might be a rant for some people, but my other attempts at this were worse. I was definitely kind of getting a little frustrated as I go through it all. Now bear in mind, I like the game. Even after all that, I like the game, I support the game. But think of it this way. If the game didn't look as good as it did, if it wasn't on consoles, and it came down to the bare mechanics of the game, like, take the graphics out of it. Without the graphics holding the game up a bit, I think it would be in rough shape. I think right now, the graphics are a lot of it that are selling it, keeping it sort of afloat. The little DLC here and there, the high quality models, the Steyr weapon pack, the fancy scopes, the new maps are done well. But again, that's a lot of it's graphics, a lot of it's flash. If you take the graphics out of it and you're looking at these mechanics, man, these older hunting games got a lot of the mechanics better. And the unique mechanics that are in Way of the Hunter are just not fully fleshed out. They got to get there. They got to get there for 2024. So I'm going to start wrapping it up. Hopefully this starts a discussion. No doubt it'll start a discussion in my comment section, which is good. If you agree, good. If not, that's fine too. Leave some the comments in there for sure. But all this stuff that I've mentioned basically has been an issue since the start of the game, sort of thing, and I'm just hoping that they can sort of target these things in the new year. But the overall takeaway from the video that I do want to highlight, I do like NRG. They're nice, they listen, they do all those things, but I've known a lot of players now that put a lot of time into the game, and they put a good solid year in there. They're starting to go away. I know it's the gaming world, people go and switch and do it, but a lot of it kind of wears down at players over time, and I'm no exception. I still plan on doing videos for Way of the Hunter in 2024. but it certainly can sort of weigh a person down, you know, in a game that they're focusing on and putting lots of time into. But that's sort of the point of the video, is just sort of highlighting that one thing that I think is a main issue that connects a lot of the main issues of the game, and it's that either team of people or individual, the person that signs off does the little check mark and says that feature is good to go, that's okay. That part of the thing, like that area, sort of bothers me, because it's the same philosophy that says the player doesn't need the feedback. It is someone or some group, I don't sound like broken record there, someone over there thinks it's a good idea to minimize feedback to the player in a game. I want to have a big red buzzer right here going, wrong. Again, no professional game developer here. No. Immersion, feedback, bring the player into the game, get them attached to the game. A broken record time. Developers, you're doing yourselves no favors by not giving the players feedback. That hunting pressure scenario I gave you there, just because it's a recent one, no. Give the player the feedback. You can't let the player go around there and have no idea if he's applying hunting pressure or not. I mean, I know the zone flips, but not the first time. And anyways, I'm gonna stop rambling, because this is how my rant goes. I hope you guys sort of followed along, got the point of it. I am hesitant to actually even do the video, given this is probably my third time at it, but I think I got through it without getting too frustrated at things. But let me know what you think. Like I was saying before, I will still make content on Way of the Hunter. I'm still going to monitor it, check on the news for it and everything for 2024. That's the plan. And hopefully everything goes well for the game. That is definitely what I want, definitely what a lot of people want. And I guess we'll see. So for now, I'm going to sign off. And hopefully you guys survive that video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. If I don't have a video out before the new year, I might. I got to think of planning. Well, Happy New Year. And take care, everybody. Happy hunting. See you later.